number 2 sales director at this career conference, future executive senior sales director, Percsilla McPheeters.
Good morning to you.
No, we talked about that yesterday, and I said I gotta care.
One of the staff members at this wonderful facility said, we had the demolition derby last week, and we had the wrestling foundation the week before. Y'all are sure a lot nicer. And isn't it a beautiful day? Yes. Okay, let's sing it together. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I've got a beautiful feeling. Everything's going my way. Yay! Oh, my goodness, my goodness. I'm so blessed to be here. Have you ever seen a turtle on a fence post? If you ever see a turtle on a fence post, you'll know it didn't get there by itself. Thank you, Lord. Legacy unit, thank you. You've always shined with kindness and brightness. I love you. Woo!
You hate me.
It's kind of hard to look back on almost 30 years of Mary Kay. I could name at least 300 of you, friends, loved ones. How do you put a price tag on the precious treasures we have access to, Mary Kay? Friends, opportunity, the diamonds, the cars, the trips, all of those things are wonderful, but those are not the eternal things. Mary Kay Ash knew that the greatest things are eternal, and that's what we invest in. Is that right? Yeah. Our sons all love Mary Kay. Isaac is 31, Paul is 28, Benjamin is 23. They all talk about Mary Kay constantly. They've all read her book, Miracles Happen, which I have with me. Paul recently said, Mom, I want to marry a Christian, and I really want to marry a Mary Kay consultant. And I said, honey, don't you care if she's pretty? And he said, she'd be a Mary Kay. I love it. As I look out on this beautiful crowd, I see friends for eternity. And I see one in particular, and that's my dear friend, Carrie Busker. And
Go, Carrie!
I frankly wish that I could kind of give her my time. We need a whole day to hear Carrie Busker's stories. You all understand that? But the memories go back so far with so many dear ones. And so I do really want to tell you a story about how much fun Mary Kay can be, even mixed with sorrow. A few years ago, when our dear friend and mentor, National Sales Director Rena Tarbett, passed on, Carrie and I decided that we would go to the funeral. And we were in my pink Cadillac. And it was a very pleasant drive because when you're with Carrie, everything is a party. But we had started off a little late and we got a little bit lost in Oklahoma City area. It was nighttime. And we had OnStar. You know, Mary Kay pays for these things for us. And it's wonderful. And you just tell them where you want to go and they guide you. And it was about 10:30. And we arrived in Oklahoma City and we were going to spend the night with one of my consultants, also a mutual friend. And we got lost. In fact, we got so lost that we ended up in a pasture. And we couldn't figure it out. And we were laughing. And I kept talking to OnStar, and it was just, it could not figure out how to navigate us. Perhaps there was some construction. And we were literally in the middle of a field with a gravel road. And we were laughing so hard. And if you haven't heard Carrie Busker laugh, you're in for a treat. And we were just, what on earth is going on? And pretty soon we see a light. And someone approaching. And we looked up, and it was a sheriff, a female sheriff's deputy with the hat on. And she came up with a flashlight, and she looked inside. And she said, what are y'all doing out here? And I said, well, we were going to a funeral, and we were going to stay at our friend Sarah's house, and OnStar got us lost. And Carrie's laughing, and she said, Lord, I've seen it all. Two Mary Kay ladies stuck in a pasture at night in a pink Cadillac. Lord. And then we laughed harder, didn't we, Carrie? Oh my goodness, I love you, Carrie. I love you so much. Today I want to share with you a story about two little girls whose lives changed the world for the better, and no one could have foreseen it. The first person I want to talk to you about is a little girl named Etta. Etta was born in 1880, almost 140 years ago. And when she was 7 years old, she and her little sister were suddenly orphaned. And Etta and her little sister grew up working as scullery maids for wealthy people in the St. Louis area. They did not have an easy life. When Etta was 17, her life changed for the better. She met an amazing man, a godly man named Noah. And Noah and Etta were blessed with 8 children, 5 girls and 3 boys. For their wedding, one of her gifts from an aunt was a chicken. Could you get excited about having a live chicken as a wedding gift? How many of you could? Well, I think she was pleased, and I think Noah thought, okay, we're going to have fried chicken tomorrow night. But Noah had a different idea, or Etta did, and she said, Noah, can I please have 25 cents for a rooster? And he said, well, sure, because she had something in mind. You see, Noah and Etta owned a farm, 60 acres. They milked cows, they had hogs, very, very hard work. And she decided to raise chickens so that they could build a business. Now, people kind of thought that was quaint, and I'm sure Noah thought it wouldn't come to much, because you start with a 25-cent rooster and a free chicken, what are you going to get? But over time, Noah and Etta had a business that generated sales of 300 dozen eggs a week. Friends, this was 100 years ago.
Wow.
And they were able to pay off the mortgage of that farm with their little chicken business. You see, she was an entrepreneur. She wouldn't have called herself an entrepreneur, but she was. They had much joy and tragedy in their life. 2 of the little boys died at around age 10, but the 3rd boy didn't, and that was my father, Paul. And so Etta is my grandmother. Sometimes when things start small, people don't understand what the Lord can do, but God knows. Another thing about Etta, this little scullery maid, over 500 people are on this planet today because of Etta and Noah. You see, she couldn't have seen that. She couldn't have seen what God could have done with that little chicken and that little rooster. And she certainly couldn't have seen her descendants, but the good Lord knew. Another little girl I want to tell you about is a little girl named Mary Catherine, also called Mary Kay. When Mary Kay was 7 years old, she didn't have a pampered childhood. She would say she had a very good childhood, though. She loved her mother very much. She loved her father. But her father had been in a sanitarium for tuberculosis for 3 years. I hope you all know these stories. This is one of my copies of Mary Kay's book. This one's over 25 years old. I have every page highlighted, as you can see. It's been well read and well loved. I hope you know these stories, but I'll refresh your memory. Her father had tuberculosis, and Mary Kay was 7 years old, and she would take care of her father. Her mother would go to work at 5 a.m. and come home, usually after Mary Kay went to sleep. By the way, Mary Kay was born in 1918, so if she were alive today, she'd be 101 years old. She married at age 17, the man of her dreams. They had 3 little children, and in her 20s, this man left her with 3 little children. Imagine. They didn't have the social systems that we have now, the help. Imagine what that was like. Read her book and see how seized with fear and almost paralyzed she was. But she took courage. And her favorite verse was, when I am afraid, I will trust in the Lord. It's in the book of Psalms. So she grew up, supported her children. As we all know, she had a dream on her heart because of her early deprivations and challenges. She wanted to create a culture, an opportunity for us, for women, whom she had never met and never would meet, so that we could have flexibility, freedom, free cars. Oh my goodness, I remember a poignant story of when Mary Kay was with her little babies, 1 baby, 2 toddlers, on a highway in Houston. I'll never forget this. And she said the car broke down, and she had to walk over a mile with those babies to get help. Oh my goodness. And she said, I vowed when I started my company, if God blesses our company, I'm going to make sure women can earn a free car that's fully warranted so they won't have to go through that. Can you give her a round of applause? Mary Kay Ash wanted a business that was based on the golden rule. Golden rule's kind of funny. I heard my 2 little nephews arguing the other day. They're 6 and 7, and they were arguing back and forth because we love them. We have them over, and they were fighting over a certain toy. And our son Paul said, "Boys, you need to remember how the Lord treats people. How does Jesus treat people?" And Jake said, "Okay, Pax, you be Jesus this time." We don't always like to do the golden rule, but Mary Kay knew it is the right thing to do. God first, family second, career third. She had a lot of opposition. Read the book. Hear how her banker, her accountant, her attorney, they said, "You won't make it." What if she'd listened, my friends? Then something else happened. She had married a very good man along that time, and 1 month before they were to open the doors of the company, think about this, 1 month, he died at the breakfast table at a very young age of a heart attack. Can you imagine how traumatic that would be? National Sales Director Daylene White, who was the very, very first consultant of all of the consultants in the world, we were blessed to have her as a personal friend, and she once said to me, "Percsilla, I really joined Mary Kay just to help her because I felt so sorry for her that she'd been widowed. I didn't really intend to stay." But she said that day of the funeral, I sat in the living room, Mary Kay and her children sat in the other room having a conference. What are we going to do? Because the experts had said, "Your husband's gone, he's the brains of this outfit, you just need to chuck it." And what would have happened, friends, if Ben hadn't given her his passbook of $4,500. Friends, this was in 1963. I have wonderful sons, but I don't know if they would give me $4,500. And that was worth $45,000 then. Her other son, Richard, of course, helped to run the company, turned out to be a financial genius. Marilyn, her daughter, decided to help her by growing the Houston area. Can we give them a round of applause? Mary Kay started with 9 friends. We now have close to 4 million beauty consultants around the world. Imagine, could she see that? No. I've heard people ask Mary Kay, "Could you have seen this, Mary Kay Ash? Could you have ever believed we'd be international?" You know what she said? She said, "No, actually I couldn't. I didn't know if we'd get out of Dallas. I didn't think we'd get past Waxahachie." But God knew, didn't he? You see, friends, sometimes we become discouraged when we think we can't see it. I've actually heard people many times say, "I can't see it, I can't visualize it, so I know I can't have it." Frankly, I don't think that's a truth. Because Mary Kay didn't see it, but she knew the Lord saw it. The Bible tells us that no eye has seen, no ear has heard, no mind has conceived what God has prepared for those who love him. And Mary Kay loved the Lord, and she loves us. Was she ever afraid? Of course. Read in her book, The Mary Kay Way. Her first skincare class was $1.50. $1.50. Does that give you hope? And she says in the book, "I went out to my car and I clutched the steering wheel and I was seized with doubt and fear and thought, what have I done? I've got all these people who want to follow me and I invested $5,000 in life savings." And then she said, "I took counsel with myself and I realized I just need to practice." Mary Kay was humble enough to stink until she got good. Can we do that as well, friends? Absolutely. Mary Kay Ash didn't always have level 10 obedience or confidence. That would be great to have level 10 confidence all the time. But she was level 10 obedient, and that is what she calls us. Another thing is Mary Kay was humble enough to ask for help, and sometimes that's hard for us, isn't it? I remember in her book, she talks about how frustrated she was, and I believe it was Stanley Home Products, but don't quote me on that. She was not having success. And she wanted to be #1 the next year. And this is a remarkable story because the woman who had been number one had earned a beautiful eelskin purse, a bag. That was a very elegant thing. And Mary Kay wanted that. And she said to that woman, "Will you teach me what you know?" Now that woman could have said, "Are you kidding me? I want to be number one next year." No, no, no. She said, yes. She spent the whole afternoon with Mary Kay, giving her her scripts, her ideas, her encouragement. And guess who was number one the next year? Mary Kay. And didn't she enjoy that eelskin bag? Nope. Because they had changed the gift that year. The big prize was a flounder light. Flounder is a fish. A light that you put in a pond to attract flounder fish. That was a blessing for us because she made a decision. When my ladies earn prizes, I will not be giving them fish lights. She was willing to ask for help. Are we willing to ask for help? You know, the people we ask for help are always blessed as well, indirectly, because the Bible says that when we bless others, we're blessed 100-fold. Several years ago, many years ago, when I was a new mother and new Cadillac director and I was pregnant and I was trying to balance some of the stress in my life, and I left corporate America. I was a motivational speaker and I longed to be home with my babies, and I knew Mary Kay was the only way I could do that. And I was really struggling. Have you ever felt that way? How do I balance it all? And I called my dear friend and mentor, Sandy Griffin, and I said, "Sandy, I'm just struggling in these areas." And she wisely said, "Well, I'm not married and I don't have children, but why don't you call Sue Kirkpatrick?" I said, "Who is Sue Kirkpatrick?" I was that new. She said, "Well, she's number one in the world." And I said, "Well, she probably won't want to speak to me." And she said, "You give her a call." So I called Sue Kirkpatrick in Indiana. I live in Kansas. I said, "Hi, Sue, you don't know me, but I'm really struggling with my Mary Kay and I'm really feeling discouraged and doubtful. And would you have like 5 minutes to give me?" She said, "Oh, honey, call me back in an hour. We're just having brunch on the terrace and I'd love to encourage you." I thought, oh my goodness. I said, "Jeff, she's going to talk to me." So I called her back. She and I spent 45 minutes on the phone. She didn't even know me. She gave me so much hope. And the two best things she told me, I said, "What are your secrets to success?" And she said, "I love people and I take an hour nap every single afternoon." Something else. Mary Kay invited Jeff and I, she's never laid eyes on us, to their home in Indiana for a couple of days to shadow her. One of the most encouraging things that happened is that I attended her unit meeting. She was number one in the nation, had been for many years, and guess how many people came to the meeting? Sue, me, our husbands, and one beautiful adoptee wearing a lovely red jacket. We had the meeting in a church basement in the nursery school room, and Sue was just as happy as she could be and so proud to have us there. She didn't feel embarrassed. And as we came home, she said, "I bet you were surprised that we only had one person." I said, "Well, I guess I expected 1,000 people." She said, "No." She said, "You bless the ones that come, because they're the ones who are obedient." That young woman, by the way, did become a sales director. One great thing about this story is, though, we didn't know that Kelly, their daughter at the time, had just finished grad school, and she was looking for a new adventure. And so she ended up coming to Lawrence, Kansas, and she lived with us for a year and was our nanny. And during that time, she had a desire to learn sign language, so she went to a Kansas School for the Deaf training, and she met her husband, George, through that, and they've been happily married for 20+ years. Who would have thought, had I not called Sue and asked her for help? You see, when we humble ourselves, when we ask for help, the Lord works in mysterious ways. I want to read you the words of a song that I think Mary Kay would have liked. We hear a lot about dreaming big, and it is good to dream big. Dream big, dream big. But you know, I don't know that Mary Kay always could dream big, particularly when she was a new single mom. I know that my grandmother Etta didn't know how to dream big, but the Lord was not concerned about that. Listen to these words and see if you think they resonate with you. It's called Dream Big. It's a mama singing songs about the Lord. It's a daddy spending time with his family the world says he cannot afford. These little moments change the world. It's a pastor at a tiny little church, 40 years of loving on the broken and the hurt. These simple moments change the world. So dream small. Don't buy the lie, you've got to do it all. Just let Jesus use you where you are, one day at a time. Live well, loving God and others as yourself. Find little ways where only you can help. With his great love, a tiny rock can make a giant fall. So dream small. It's visiting the widow down the street or dancing on a Friday with your friend with special needs. These simple moments change our world. Of course, there's nothing wrong with bigger dreams. Just don't miss the minutes on your way to bigger things, because these simple moments change the world. So dream small. Don't bother like you've got to do it all. Just let Jesus use you where you are, one day at a time. Live well, loving God and others as yourself. Find little ways where only you can help. With his great love, a tiny rock can make a giant fall. So dream small. Keep loving, keep serving, keep listening, keep learning, keep praying, keep hoping, keep seeking, keep searching out of these small things and watch them grow bigger. The God who does all things makes oceans from rivers, so dream small. Don't bother like you've got to do it all. Just let Jesus use you where you are, one day at a time. Live well, love God and others as yourself, and find little ways where only you can help. With his great love, a tiny rock can make a giant fall. Yes, 5 loaves and 2 fishes could feed them all. So dream small. I love you. God bless you.